knowledge that Molly died by suicide. She had been struggling with depression and anxiety for the last 7 years, but if I honestly look back, she had probably struggled with it for decades. Molly was a sister to me. I don't remember a time in my life without her in it. When we were younger, there is no doubt that Alice and I probably treated her horridly, like most younger siblings get treated. But then came junior high and high school and college and careers. For Molly, there was the Peace Corps, the Army, police academy, and grad school to become a high school counselor. Her life was filled with a lot of risk-taking, bravery, challenges. When I think of Molly, there are some words that come to mind. She was generous and kind, thoughtful, intelligent, adventurous, and caring, and funny, and spunky, and snarky, and sensitive. She was tough and brave, and insightful, and feeling, and empathetic. She was my true sounding board. Molly knew nearly every part of my life. There's not one part of my life that she wasn't a part of, and I find myself wondering sometimes, what would Molly think of this? Would she think this was funny? She would think this was so ridiculous, or she would be so understanding. She was that friend that was always a step ahead of me. She always knew what I was going to need or do next, and she was always ready to help me. Many of you have memories, I'm sure, when you experienced Molly at her truest self. And many of you have memories of when you experienced a different very side of Molly. I'm not going to blame anxiety and depression for all of Molly's relationship and life choices. But I will blame the fact that we, including her, were ignorant of signs that may have pointed to the onset of some of her mental health issues. I can't speak for the whole Asian community, but I feel like there's an obvious shroud over the topic of mental health. It's an all too common cliche to say Asian Americans are repressed. Her parents' generation don't want to acknowledge it. Our generation feels ashamed. And what will our children's generation look like? So thank you for coming here today to honor Molly by listening to how she may have been feeling and how we may have been able to come alongside her and encourage her, and how we can do that for one another as well. So I want to introduce our first speaker. This is John Warden. He is a retired pastor, or retired therapist, who counseled for 25 plus years. He also worked as a pastor. He's an author of 2 books, Resisting Grace and Baca, and then I'm just going to keep this in to keep it light. He was also a multi-shot blocker of Peter back in the day. So John, thank you.
Thank you. Do you need me to have this mic, Jen?
Yeah.
If I, no. I don't need it.
Oh, okay.
Because I think I can speak without it.
Okay.
So can I move it away?
Yeah.
And if you need it after. Somebody want to turn this off? Thank you. When we say multi, it's countless. Those of you who know people. when you see him, if you ever get a chance, I will be always. So I've been married 24 years. I've been a father for 14. I have a daughter who just started high school. And one of the things my daughter has been doing since the summer after second grade is write books. Shameless plug on her dad's part, you can find her books on Amazon. But the last book she wrote, she did this summer. She did this summer, and it's about 3 kids who live in a mountain in Thailand. And one girl, it's set in the year 2004. And one of the girls is set to be, she's 14 or 15, maybe, I don't remember. She's set to be the first Muay Thai female boxer. She's trying to get out of poverty. She has an abusive father, and she's an angry girl. Her friend works in building bricks. Her parents died of some kind of illness, and she, being the oldest daughter, also 15, is taken care of by her siblings, younger sibling. And the story is about, my daughter uses this, she trains for basketball stuff, so I don't fully remember how to put everything on. She plays, I'm sorry. The story is about the two of them finding out about their third companion. That's it. I'm going to jump. Hey. Good enough, good. They're trying to find their friend. His name is Lek also 50. They grew up in the mountains together. They struggled together. And he ran away. They are in search of him. And in search of him, they find he's in the ocean. And the story of life, the story is a tragic story all the way through. But it is a story of hope, in that thread of hope. Lucky didn't survive. He killed himself at the end of the story. I shouldn't have told you the end of my daughter's story. But the two girls survived. And it's a powerful thing. These girls struggled. They all struggled, just like we struggle. There are various reasons for depression. And depression. Depression are these states of feeling sad, empty, alone, helpless. You've probably heard helpless or hopeless. There's states of irritability, difficulties concentrating, changes of appetite, aches and pains. My mom was probably struggling with depression. but you can never tell by asking her. She would always say, I'm okay, and then later complain about stomach aches. My mom's Japanese, by the way. And the relationship of somatic, physical manifestations in depression is highly correlated in the Asian American community. I still got some more of these. These are heavy, by the way. You know, so there's cultural component to depression. There are family, genetics, there's life events that relate. There we go. I really hope I don't drop it. I hope that helps. You have insurance, right?
We do.
No. This is all. You know, physical illness. I was married 24 years ago. 23 years ago, I got diagnosed with a chronic illness that affects my lungs, my body, and I've lived with it. But if I may, the grace of God, my diagnosis was that I'd be living a maximum of 5 years. But I've been here 23. It's pretty good, huh? I appreciate that. But there's a relationship between physical illness and depression as well. Drugs and alcohol, things like that. Okay, that's enough. I don't want to. Don't let me forget I have one right here. And I really hope my pants don't fall. So there's various things that depression could look like, could feel like, could manifest itself in. And but how does depression develop? And I want to give you a little bit of a picture of what it looks like. I hope I'm doing it without even having to tell you how it's being done. But it first starts with disappointment. Disappointment is a part of life. It happens to all of us. Unexpected or expectations we may have about life that are not met. You know, we may talk about parents' pressure upon their children, but parents struggle with the loss of expectations unmet. There are parents who struggle with children not being able to meet goals that they hope their child would be. Maybe a divorce happened with a child, maybe even a death. It cuts both ways. There's interruptions in our lives. We had hoped to have a child in 3 years of marriage. 1 year into our marriage, I got ill. We went through the whole fertility process, infertility. I did do shots. I don't know if anyone here has had to deal with infertility and gone through the process, but I was a shot giver to my wife who sought to bear a child. And for my wife in particular, who felt that every 28 days of an unfulfilled dream, that bears a lot of weight. That's a lot to carry. You know, there's a loss of identity Who am I? What am I? There's a loss of capability. What can I do? I did like playing basketball. At my youngest age, I was able to stuff a ball. But that slowly went away. And one of the reasons why we started realizing there was a problem was I would go out and walk with my wife, and I couldn't keep up. I'd block into it because my lungs were just totally inflamed. And my sense of what I can do was reduced. Certain things about being a man, that's really hard to face. I like tinkering with my house, putting down floors and things like that. I like, and I lost it. Well, I lost a lot of it. That's hard to bear. Then there's a loss of relationships. Someone breaks up with you, a spouse, divorce, passes away. Even a daughter who's going to college. I tell my daughter I'm moving with her wherever she goes. Because I have a hard time dealing with loss. There's pressures we face, things we have to carry. And there's a lot. A lot. I got one more big one here. Let's see if I can do this one. Probably many of you have faced one or both parents who passed. Maybe something came, interrupted abruptly. And it was hard to start bearing. It was hard to start carrying. I really hope I don't fall out. Enough disappointments carried for enough time weighs us down until from disappointment we start feeling discouragement. In discouragement, we ask, what the heck is happening? Why? How much more can I endure? How do I keep going? How can I measure up? My first few years of my illness, I really still struggle to still get out of court. And Peter didn't know any better, but he did circles around. He did. But it got worse, I really can't carry up the stairs, down the stairs, this box of course of one of the things I found out in my first year of marriage, my wife loved shoes. And there was tons and tons of shoes. And I didn't know, so there were boxes of shoes at times. And I couldn't carry it. But not only what we do, but who are we? What's wrong with me? I identified myself a certain way, and now I'm not that way. Of belonging. Who do I have? I feel so alone. And there's this heaviness that adds up, whether more is piling up or you just continue to carry it. And enough discouragement weighs us down until we move from disappointment to discouragement. So we feel disillusioned. And when we're at disillusionment, we ask, what's the use? What's the point of going on? When we're discouraged, the Spirit may be weak, but the spirit is still willing. When we're disillusioned, the spirit is broken. And if you remain in disillusionment long enough, we go from disappointment to discouragement to disillusionment, and we're at that fragile place where we fall into despair. In despair, you're ready to say, I quit. I'm done. You see, depression is the process of shutting down. Physically, cognitively, emotionally, and you can't move anymore. Depression is a signal that there is too much disappointment that we have been carrying too long, and signals it is time for rest, for healing, for recovery, for help, and for taking care of the weight we carry. We have tried to carry these weights and still appear okay. We may numb the pain to deal with it. I was going to have a box of apps. You know, aspirin numbs pain. It doesn't heal pain. You know, inflammation is there. You can take all the aspirin to help you not feel it, but the inflammation's still there. And we numb our pain by disassociating, by not being connected to ourselves, by denying, by deflecting. I was in college ministry many moons ago. There was this girl I met on a regular basis at the cafeteria. And after a couple months, I noticed she didn't have any fingers in her hands. And that she was born with this deformity. And I felt embarrassed that I met her for months and never noticed. And I asked her about it. And she said, you know, I've learned the art of deflecting people's attention away from my hands. We find ways. And we think, oh, I'm taking care of it. But we know better. We may use stimulants. I was going to have a sports drink, not this one. Ways to energize us so that we keep on going. Right? How many of you, don't show hands. How many of you have taken a little something in college to pull that all-nighter? And people use stimulants to keep on going. Sometimes they're artificial drinks, alcohol, smoking, all the name. Sometimes they're activities, things we'll do. And lastly, sometimes we wear a mask. We cover. Again, what was they going to bring? Yeah, I forgot to bring a mask. There you go. I did this activity. I do these kind of things. I did this activity where everyone had a mask, and you draw the image you project, but then you draw on the inside of what you are. We have our mask. My daughter, her book prior to this one was called A Kimmy's Mask. And it's about this girl, it's a fantasy book, who lost her parents. And she uses being helpful and being playful and being strong as her mask to hide from the pain. But they don't work. You gotta do something. Let me make a few suggestions. of how to move, how to deal with depression. Be it your own or be it with someone else. First thing you gotta do is you gotta move. Depression is about shutting down. And one of the simplest things I tell people to do to start with is to move. There's a saying that it goes, a mile by mile is hard, but an inch by inch is a cinch. Little steps. I saw a man who was very depressed and had a hard time moving. And one of the things I told him to do is, after our session, to go outside, and there was this lilac bush. And I said, put your face in the lilac bush and smell for a couple minutes. And in winter time, I told him, walk aside for 2 minutes when it's really cold and breathe in through your nose. Because in that movement is nostril hair freezes. And you feel it. Depression needs an awakening of some kinesthetic experience of smelling, walking, getting up, cleaning, brushing your teeth, to eat, to drink, to breathe. And one of the things you could do as a friend is make sure they do that. Small ways. One of my friends came over pretty heartbroken, and I didn't know much to do except to feed her. And she realized she hadn't eaten for days. I didn't know that. But move. The next thing you do is you need to connect. Jen, will you come here? Sorry. You need to connect personally. Because you need someone to take off your rope. And help you with the load. You need, sometimes it's a personal person. Whew. It's still heavy, but it feels a lot better. Huh? Thank you, Jen. You know, we need someone who stays with you, even if she can't carry everything. Jen doesn't like, she's not carrying everything too. You do though. Thank you. You connect personally. And if you're helping, you make that connection. You may have to help connect professionally. Find somebody who can help you through this. In the Bible, Galatians 6:2 says, bear one another's burden and thus fulfill the law of Christ. We should take 2 more.